Right now, on to the point. Attack on Iran. American and Israeli strikes Iran's supreme leader. Tonight, as President Trump says the operation is not over, local lawmakers weigh in.
It was never approved by Congress.
The Iran conflict raising concerns about gas prices as drivers brace for pain at the pump. In the race for governor, our series of interviews with the candidates continue. Tonight, we hear from Betty Yee.
I am running to really apply my fiscal and financial experience.
And a battle brewing for Congress in District 6, why Kevin Kiley is jumping in the race. We continue with breaking news on To The Point. The U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, has been hit by Iranian drones. According to U.S. officials, there are no reports of injuries, but the threat is ongoing. Americans in Saudi Arabia are being told to shelter in place immediately. As we get more information, of course, we will bring that straight to you. As always, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Alex Bell, and this attack comes as the death toll is rising in the expanding conflict with Iran. U.S.-Israeli joint strikes on Iran over the weekend killed its supreme leader and a list of growing senior officials. President Trump says the operation will continue.
Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime.
In his first remarks from the White House since strikes in Iran started Saturday, President Trump said Iranian leaders ignored U.S. warnings not to rebuild its nuclear program. The president said the U.S. military is hitting Iran hard, but the, quote, big wave is yet to come. We know that at least 6 American service members have already been killed. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the U.S. strikes on Iran are not meant to be a regime change, but called on Iranians to, quote, take advantage of the opportunity. The war is sending shockwaves across the globe. It's disrupting air travel and raising gas prices. For and against the military action over the last few days. They have been happening all across the nation. I do want to bring in ABC 10's Nazi Javid, who is joining us live from one of those demonstrations that's happening right now in Sacramento. Good evening, Nazi.
Yeah, good evening, Alex. There are a lot of people out here. They've been out here all afternoon. The sun is now down, and there are hundreds of people on the corners of every street. We're at 16th and Broadway, and I want to bring in one of the organizers quickly here. Tell me, who are you with, and why are you guys organizing this?
I'm Jason with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. We're out here because this is a illegal war based on lies. We do not liberate a people through bombing schools filled with hundreds of children. We do not. We've done this before in history too, where we talk about liberation and bringing democracy to the Middle East or other countries. We killed more than 1 million people in Iraq. We killed millions of people in Vietnam. We killed millions of people in Korea in the name of freedom and democracy. And this is the same story where we're engaged in this war in Iran to overthrow the regime, to bring democracy, and it's going to do the same thing that it's always done, is by killing millions of people for the American ruling class, the billionaires who run this country.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And you'll be out here again next weekend as well, I'm understanding.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. So that's the general sentiment of people out here. They just don't want this war to continue. They are worried that it's going to continue for weeks and maybe an extended conflict. For now, reporting live in Sacramento, Nazi Javid, ABC 10.
All right, Nazi, thank you so much. And we will have more on late news tonight at 11. And California lawmakers are weighing in on the conflict in Iran. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen has been tracking their responses today as well.
Alex, from Governor Newsom to members in Congress, there are a lot of mixed emotions as lawmakers come together to figure out how to move forward following this weekend's strikes on Iran in an operation that President Trump says will continue. Democratic Congressman Ami Bera sits on the House Intelligence Committee, which oversees departments like the Navy, Marines, and Army. He says the airstrikes in Iran by the U.S. military was done without the approval of the people.
It's not constitutional. There's not an imminent threat to the American homeland. He should have come to Congress. He should have prepared the American public. This is not going to be an easy conflict to resolve. Republican Congressman Tom McClintock posted a tweet Saturday thanking the Trump administration, saying this is a step forward towards world peace and security. On Monday, Governor Gavin Newsom weighed in, saying the country's involvement in Iran is having a direct impact on Americans.
Look at your cost at the pump the last few days. That was an act of the Trump administration, an act of war that directly participated in making affordability crisis worse for you as we cut taxes for billionaires, cut behavioral health funding, cut health care funding, cut food stamps to fund a war.
With American lives lost, Republican Assemblymember Carl DeMaio says the focus needs to be on the people fighting this war on behalf of the country.
I have never seen so many Democrat politicians fall all over themselves to undermine American men and women in uniform who are trying to do their job to protect our country. I find it shameful. They need to stop with the partisanship. They need to pray and support our armed forces as they deal with what is clearly a terrorist regime.
And Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley says Congress needs to be involved with U.S. objectives moving forward. Democratic Senator Adam Schiff says he's going to force a debate and vote in the Senate that could potentially end this war. Alex.
All right, Jeannie, thank you for that update. And the big question on many people's minds is, what does this situation in Iran mean for gas prices? A lot of oil goes through the Iran area before it reaches us. It's too early to predict when, if, and how much gas might go up. But here's what we do know. Markets like things calm, cool, and collected. And when there's uncertainty, for example, like these attacks, the markets do react. So take a look at this. A price that we are watching is crude oil. That's a main ingredient in the gasoline that we use in cars, jet fuel, and diesel. About 20% of the world's oil supply is transported through a narrow waterway next to Iran. It's called the Strait of Hormuz. Because of the attack and the potential for retaliation, some shipping companies are reassessing routes amid safety concerns. And tonight, drivers are preparing to pay more at the pump. Experts say that crude prices have already jumped, and that spike is quickly translating into higher prices nationwide. Analysts warning that this could be just the beginning if the conflict does continue to escalate. We found people filling up today before those gas prices go up. Some experts anticipated prices will go up around 30 cents a gallon in the near future. And for some drivers, there is no way of beating the price hike. We talked to Maureen Dilly. She says that she has to fill up every 4 to 5 days.
Well, I have 5 children, and so I drive a lot. I average about 26,000 miles a year. And then because I was driving about 240 miles a day, an electric vehicle wasn't something that was feasible, so I stuck with this, and I use a lot of gas.
Drivers say that when conflicts like this happen between countries, it goes on for months and sometimes even years. So they are expecting the price of gas to continue to rise, at least for the foreseeable future. Well, after months of speculation, Kevin Kiley has finally made his decision on which congressional district he'll run in, the reason behind his decision, and the candidates that he's now facing. And then the race for California's next governor. I sit down one-on-one with the top 9 Democratic candidates. Tonight, you're going to be hearing from Betty Yee on why she wants the job.
And we're going to continue to have some pretty spring-like weather for much of the next 10 days. Tomorrow, back near 70 with sunny skies. I am tracking a pattern change Wednesday, and I've got the forecast after the break.
Well, it was another beautiful weekend and a beautiful Monday. We finally got to open the windows, Brendan. It was very nice outside. Let's take a look at those high temperatures.
75 was the high on Saturday, and as anticipated, Saturday was the warmest day of the year so far. Again, that was 75 on Saturday. Yesterday and today, though, back in the 60s. We hit 67 this afternoon, 69 in Stockton, 68 in Modesto, 63 in Auburn, 52 in Truckee, and 50 up in South Lake Tahoe. Temperatures at the moment in those low to mid 60s in the valley. 56 in Jackson, 54 Placerville, 39 in Tahoe, 36 up in Truckee, 61 degrees as we look towards downtown Sacramento. We're going to continue to lose temperature, obviously, over the next several hours. May have a few clouds coming in overnight, but we'll also have some patchy fog developing Tuesday morning. I don't expect it to be widespread fog or really particularly dense fog, but nonetheless, that fog potential is there to start tomorrow morning. We'll be in those mid 40s to upper 40s in the valley, low 20s in the high country. Tuesday afternoon, back near 70 degrees, a little warmer than today, mild and sunny in the valley with a few clouds up in the high country. As we look at Futurecast, you're going to see some of that fog as we go into Tuesday morning, but then really predominantly sunny in the valleys, some clouds up in the high country. We're dry tomorrow, but a system does come in on Wednesday. That will bring, this is Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, bring a little bit of a shower chance up along 99 north of Sacramento. Most of this activity, though, is going to be in the foothills and in the higher elevations. Could see a couple inches of snow up at the high passes. What I'll be most interested in is that thunderstorm potential primarily in the foothills through Wednesday afternoon, but a few storms could try to pop up in the valley before working their way up in elevation. So just be mindful of that on Wednesday, but it is going to be a fairly isolated thunderstorm chance as this system works its way through northern California. But this system's actually going to drop south Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So that means we're going to get a northerly flow in the wake of this system. We're going to be looking at some pretty gusty winds. So this is Wednesday afternoon as that system comes through, but by Thursday afternoon, now we're looking at northerly gusts up to about 30 to 35 miles per hour. This will continue into Friday morning and be strongest on Friday afternoon. Widespread wind gusts of 35 to 45 miles per hour. And those winds will stick around through Saturday. So temperatures near seasonal on Wednesday. Then it's a stair step upwards into the mid 70s for the weekend. But again, it is going to be windy Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
All right, Brendan, thank you. Right after the break, the Supreme Court sides with parents in a fiercely contested California schools case, what it means for transgender students as well as their families. And then I also continue with the 9 Democratic candidates up for governor. Coming up, you're going to be hearing from Betty Yee, what she says that she will do about the state's finances. Welcome back in. The Supreme Court today cleared the way for California schools to tell parents if their children identify as transgender without getting the student's approval. The process is known as parental notification. For now, the High Court's decision blocks a state law that bans automatic parental notification requirements if students change their pronouns or gender expression at school. Religious parents and educators challenged the law, and the state argued that students have the right to privacy about their gender expression, especially if they fear rejection from their families. The High Court sided with the parents and reinstated a lower court order while this case continues to play out. Now, Attorney General Rob Bonta was one of those listed in this lawsuit. He sent a statement just moments ago saying in part, quote, "We are disappointed with the Supreme Court's decision. We remain committed to ensuring a safe, welcoming school environment for all students while respecting the crucial role parents play in students' lives." We also just moments ago heard from the governor on this. He's responding to this decision saying, quote, teachers should be focused on teaching, not forced to be gender cops. Today's shadow docket ruling by the Supreme Court undermines student privacy and the ability to learn in a safe and supportive classroom free from discrimination based on gender identity. And in more Newsom news, the governor is pushing some California counties to tackle the homelessness crisis, or they could lose out on funding. The governor emphasized more needs to be done with Care Court, the state mandated program that allows family members, first responders, medical providers, and others to petition a court to help someone receive treatment. Care Court was implemented in all 58 counties back in December of 2024. The governor also announced $291 million for more housing and behavioral health resources in parts of the state.
I'm just out of patience. And I hope that's the mindset of members of the Assembly and Senate and whoever replaces me. Enough. Localism is determinative. I'm happy to redirect every damn penny in these programs to the counties that are getting things done. Period. Full stop.
On the threat of withholding funding, the California State Association of Counties responded saying, quote, counties are following the law as written. Republican State Senator Roger Nilo says while he's happy that Newsom says more needs to be done to tackle homelessness, blaming local jurisdictions, is not fair. As we mentioned, Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley will run in the redrawn Congressional District 6 in this year's election. Kiley made the announcement this morning on X, saying in part, quote, it's true that I was fully prepared to run in the new 5th, having tested the waters and with polls showing a favorable outlook in a safe district, but doing what's easy and what's right are often not the same. And at the end of the day, as much as I love the communities in the 5th district that I represent now, and as excited as I was about the new ones seeking office in a district that doesn't include my hometown, didn't feel right. He goes on to say, quote, while this will be a more challenging race, I believe we can build a winning coalition for common sense. Thanks to all for your encouragement and patience. The fight for California's future has only just begun. Now, California's 6th congressional district includes much of Sacramento County. Under new boundaries approved by Prop 50, the district covers North Sacramento, Natomas, East Sacramento, West Sacramento, North Highlands, Highlands, Citrus Heights, Antelope, Orangevale, Roseville, as well as Rockland. Now, Kiley faces high-profile candidates including West Sacramento Mayor Martha Guerrero, Dr. Richard Pan, and Sacramento County District Attorney Tin Ho. District 6 is now represented by Congressman Ami Berry, but he is planning to run in the newly drawn Redistrict 3. I know there's a lot of information there. You can always follow us online for that. But let's switch now to the governor's race, another big race that we're following. This June, Californians will head to the polls to help decide who's going to become the state's next governor. And while the final decision comes in November, for now, there are 9 leading Democratic hopefuls and several Republicans that are in this race. To help you get to know them and what they say they'd bring to the job, I sat down with all of the candidates at the convention, and I will also do the same with the Republican Party. To keep things fair, I drew names at random for these interviews. Tonight, meet Betty Yee.
For people that are meeting you for the first time, why are you deciding to run for governor of California?
I am a native Californian who has just seen a lot since I grew up here as a daughter of immigrants in terms of just opportunities becoming fewer for many Californians. And so I am running to really apply my fiscal and financial experience to deal with the affordability issues. And we can't really tackle them unless we really stabilize our state budget. And so just being very clear about the work that has to be done and my background and experience being very relevant to that.
Now, if you were to be elected, what would be your top 3 priorities your first year in office?
Top 3 has to be really stabilizing the budget, because as we're trying to deal with our investments in housing and healthcare, our environment, our schools, we need to know that we have that stability in our budget. And with the budget deficits we're facing, the federal funding cuts that are looming, we need to have really an all-of-the-above strategy where we're going to have to look at how we make cuts to make California government more efficient. We're going to have to look at how we raise revenue to be sure that we're keeping our safety net programs intact, particularly the Medi-Cal cuts that are looming, but also how we look at investing in our communities and our people. Because one of the things that we don't talk enough about is how do we invest in California where we grow our economy and hopefully develop more resilience against some of these threats that we're seeing near term.
California has spent billions of dollars trying to address the homelessness crisis, yet the problem persists. I mean, you do see it on city streets.
Yes.
What would you do differently to address this?
You know, I think we've had a lot of dollars that have been put towards homelessness, but what I would do is to be sure that we are very clear about the roles and responsibilities among the state, the counties, and the cities, to be sure there's coordination, to be sure we have accountability for the dollars that we put out there in terms of what kinds of systems are we creating that hopefully will be there for the long term to keep people, one, from becoming homeless, and then two, for the unhoused, how we are able to give them the supportive services, how we are going to be sure that we are moving people into interim supportive housing as quickly as possible, then into permanent supportive housing, stable rental situations, and yes, even home ownership. And so I think when we can see a continuum like that, where we have accountability at every point, we can see our dollars going much further and actually being successful at helping people become more housing secure.
Do you think California has gone too far, not far enough, or has struck the right balance when it comes to criminal justice reform?
We've progressed a lot in terms of just looking at what's happened when we've had early releases from our state prisons. And when I look at the promising programs that are helping formerly incarcerated people, it's making an investment in holistic reentry programs where former incarcerated people really are gaining the life skills, but also the economic opportunities for jobs and stable housing. I hope to invest more in that, particularly since Governor Newsom has been closing more prisons, that these are the kinds of programs that people can transition into and be much more ready to reenter communities. But we also have, I know Prop 36 was just on the ballot, and so with that, I would really prioritize funding more drug treatment capacity, which we don't have around the state. As the courts are deciding that people are going to be diverted into drug treatment, I want to be sure that those slots are available for them.
And we are going to keep these candidate profiles going at 6:30, giving you a closer look at the top Democrats in the race tomorrow. I'll be sitting down with Ian Calderon, and we are also working to sit down with the Republican candidates as we continue our coverage of the race for California's next governor. We're back right after this quick break. All right, before we go, make sure you mark your calendars for something free and fun that you can do this weekend. We know that 20 museums across Sacramento will open their doors for the 2026 Free Museum Weekend, and the annual event is organized by Sacramento Area Museums and offers free admission with advanced registration on March 7th and 8th. More than 30,000 tickets are available now, and they will be released on a first-come, first-served basis through March 5th. Attendees get free rides on SAC-RT between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. You can find a link to register on our website over at abc10.com, and I'll tell you right now, you want to get over there. I tried to get tickets to Crocker, and I couldn't even get those, so make sure you check out our website and see if there's any museums that pique your interest. As always, thank you so much for watching, for always inviting us into your home. If you have something you think me and the team should be looking into, you can always email us. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow.